Archbishop Elpidophoros of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America in New York, New York, will deliver today's invocation.
May we bow our heads in prayer. In the name of God, the Creator and Sustainer of the universe, and of all that is contained therein, amen. We offer thanks and praise, O God, for gathering us together today in the Senate of the great state of New York, that we may appeal to your righteousness and goodness, to bless all the representatives of people with your mercy and your grace. Grant unto them to fulfill their duties, their responsibilities and obligations to the people with honor, with integrity, and with unallied allegiance to the Constitution. Bless them to love liberty, the freedom that we commemorate today, recognizing March 25th, the day of Greek independence, and the freedom enshrined in these United States of America. Hold all these lawgivers fast in your loving care, that they may ever serve with the dignity of their high office, and thus render glory, reverence, and honor to you, the fountainhead of all law and justice. Amen.
Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Monday, March 25, 2024, the Senate may pursuant to adjournment. Journal of Sunday, March 24, 2024 was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourn.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. The Secretary will read. Messages from the Governor. Reports of standing committees. Reports of select committees. Communications and reports from state officers. Motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Good afternoon, Madam President. I move to adopt the resolution calendar with the exception of resolutions 2023, 2029, and 2055, and also 2056.
All those in favor of adopting the resolution calendar with the exceptions of Resolution 2023, 2029, 2055, and 2056, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution calendar is adopted. Senator Gianaris.
Can we now begin by taking up resolutions 2029 and 2055 together? Read their titles and recognize me on the resolutions, please.
The Secretary will read.
Resolution 2029 by Senator Gianaris, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim March 2024 as Greek History Month in the state of New York in conjunction with the commemoration of the 203rd anniversary of Greek independence. Resolution 2055 by Senator Gianaris, recognizing the Federation of Cypriot American Organizations in conjunction with its commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Turkish invasion and occupation of North Cyprus.
Senator Gianaris on the resolutions.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the time of year when Senator Grunardis, Senator Skoufis, and myself come before you to remind our colleagues how much they have to be thankful for that the Greeks exist and have given you so much of how we live, whether it's mathematics, medicine, science, democracy, you name it, you know the Greeks are behind it. And so you're all very welcome for the contributions our ancestors have made to Western civilization. But in all seriousness, this also is, as we celebrate 203 years of Greek independence, it's also a solemn anniversary of a less celebratory nature. This is 50 years since the island nation of Cyprus was invaded and has been divided illegally, according to the United Nations. And New York happens to be home to a very large population of the Greek Cypriot diaspora who are refugees from their own homes. I have traveled to Cyprus. I have crossed what is the last divided capital in the world of Nicosia and seen the occupied territory. I have visited the homes of friends who are now New Yorkers, those homes are now occupied by settlers who have just taken over their homes, and it was pointed out to me, here's where I grew up, here was my bedroom, and there are now strangers to them living in those homes. It is a tragedy that doesn't get a lot of attention because it's not a very large population, to be honest, but it is one, nonetheless, that has gone on for too long. And as we sit here and experience the 50th anniversary of an invasion and occupation that has been recognized the world over as improper, it still persists. And so as part of our celebration of Greek independence today, we also thought it was a good idea to commemorate the fact that not all people of Greek descent are celebrating. There are people who are Cypriots who continue to suffer, who continue to be refugees from their own homes half a century later, and recommit ourselves to solving this problem on their behalfs. And so, Madam President, these resolutions together speak to both the good and the bad of what is happening in the Greek population today in 2024. And so I appreciate my colleagues' indulgence in letting us speak about both of them as one today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gianaris. Senator Skoufis on the resolutions.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I first want to thank the sponsor of these resolutions, the Deputy Majority Leader, and also want to thank Senator Gennardis, who I know will speak next, for really taking the lead in organizing a lot of today's activities, including bringing up, as he has a number of times, His Eminence. It's always a privilege to be in his presence, and I hope my colleagues realize, this is not someone who is just, sort of in charge of the church here in New York or even in the region. This is for the entire country, and it's really a blessing to be in his presence. Today it's not just, obviously there are 3 members of the so-called Greek caucus here in the Senate, but today we're all honorary Greeks. And add Opolis to all of your last names, Lanzopoulos, Thomasopoulos, and it's a wonderful day because we all appreciate everything that Greece, in ancient Greece, has afforded us. Senator Gianaris named a few of the present day things that we take for granted that were established, invented in ancient Greece: democracy, science, math, astronomy, medicine. The list goes on and on. Really the most important thing that certainly I cherish and that the 3 of us cherish is the people, the values that the people bring, whether you're in the diaspora here in America or still in Greece, the heritage, the values, the traditions, the goodness of the Greek people. And I certainly think of my own family, which is emblematic of, I think, the larger diaspora when I think of that goodness. And my family's stories, much like many family stories who eventually come here to the United States, and especially here to New York, where so many immigrated to. My father came here as a teenager. My grandfather was the first to come here. He left his family for a short time to come here in New York. His first and only job in New York for decades was as a server at the Nathan's Coney Island hot dog stand, and came here with little more than the proverbial shirt on his back when he emigrated from Greece, from a tiny mountainous village in western New York, which to this day, still no paved roads, only recently got electricity, very much a rural area of Greece, and to come to the biggest city in the United States. And soon thereafter, the rest of my family came, worked our way into the middle class, and to this day, my father in Bay Ridge owns a small business, a Greek deli on 5th Avenue in Senator Gennardis' district. My grandfather sadly passed away a few years ago. My grandmother, my yaya, passed away a couple of months ago. And they're part of the greatest generation, in my opinion, of Greeks. We all have, certainly in America, we refer to those who lived through World War II as the greatest generation, but that extends beyond our borders here in America. And my grandmother, in particular, lived through an extremely difficult time during World War II. The Nazi forces, as many of us know, occupied Greece, despite the incredible resistance that they put up. And as part of that occupation, many people don't know that there was a great famine in Greece that was subsequent to that invasion, and hundreds of thousands of Greeks died of starvation. Within literally just several weeks, my grandmother was orphaned because the Nazis literally stole the food from this agricultural farming community, small village that they were from. And so they lived an extremely difficult early life, but came here to America for a better life, one that they sought and one that they got, and one that they were able to pass along to myself and the rest of the family. And so, those values are real. We live them, we appreciate them, and we are the beneficiaries of all that Greece. Despite 203 years of independence and modern Greece, as we know it today, certainly we know that thousands of years of that richness, that fullness, that goodness lives with us in the year 2024. And so I'm proud to be a Greek American, part of the diaspora. I'm thankful for everyone that came before me, and want to express my gratitude again to my two colleagues for bringing this resolution. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Skoufis. Senator Gounardis on the resolutions.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Senator Gianaris, for bringing these resolutions forward. We think and feel differently because of what a little Greek town did during a century or two, 2,400 years ago. That's how esteemed classicist Edith Hamilton described the impact that Greece and the Greek people have had on the world for 2.5 millennia. I'll spare you all the litany of ways in which Greeks have shaped our world today, as Senator Gianaris alluded to, but Professor Hamilton's statement is 100% correct. And that's why I'm incredibly proud, as a fourth-generation Greek American, to stand here today and recognize March as Greek Heritage Month. But it's not just what happened in the days of Socrates and Pericles that inspires us to celebrate Greek heritage. Indeed, it's the vast span of history over the last 2,500 years and the collective impact that that history has had on our world today that gives Greeks and Philhellenes the world over a swell of pride and jubilee. The rich glory of the Byzantines that lasted for 1,000 years. The tenacious resilience that survived through 400 years of Ottoman occupation and oppression. The fierce courageousness of the war for independence that sparked revolutionary change across Europe. The determined resistance that stymied Nazi occupiers and bought enough time for Allied forces to shift the balance of war along the Eastern Front of World War II. And the soaring heights of success that Greeks and the diaspora have achieved throughout the world today. These are all reasons why Greeks and people of Greek heritage have such enormous pride in who they are. Yesterday, we celebrated 203 years of Greece's independence. On March 25th, 1821, revolutionary fighters gathered together with Metropolitan Germanos in the monastery of Agia Lavra in the village of Kalavrita, which is where I believe Senator Gianaris' family is from, and declared independence against Ottoman occupation. The war was hard fought, resulting in countless acts of devastation and atrocities, as war so often brings, including the massacre of Chios, the island that my family is from, where nearly 100,000 people were either killed or expelled from the island. And much like our own Revolutionary War here in America, 7 years after declaring independence, the people of Greece, the farmers, the sailors, the merchants, the shepherds, the people who lived in the towns and the villages and throughout the countryside, won their war and formed the Hellenic Republic. Today, we are also recognizing the diaspora of Greek Cypriots as the people of Cyprus prepare to solemnly commemorate 50 years since their nation was illegally invaded by Turkey, resulting in the forced expulsion of tens of thousands of Cypriots from their homes, the abandonment of towns and cities, and the still current division of the country, as well as the capital, making it the only divided national capital in the world. Many of the refugees who were forced to flee Cyprus after their homes were taken from them settled right here in New York, making our state one of the largest Greek Cypriot communities in the world. In fact, for those of you that don't know, one of our colleagues across the building, Assemblymember Michael Tanousis's family, was among those refugees. Today, the relationship between our country, Greece, and Cyprus is as strong as it's ever been. Anchored in the shared values of democratic governance, these three nations are joined together through mutual economic, political, and security issues. Suda Bay in Crete is the home to the U.S. Navy's base of operations in the entire Eastern Mediterranean. And the passing of the Eastern Mediterranean Security and Energy Partnership Act in the U.S. Congress has positioned Greece and Cyprus to play leading roles in securing energy independence for the entire European continent. The relationship between our countries would not be possible but for the persistent and engaged advocacy of the Greek and Cypriot American communities that can be found in each and every one of our districts. It is with this spirit that I'm particularly proud today that we're joined by the Supreme President of the American Hellenic Educational Progressive Association, better known as AHEPA, the largest Greek-American civic organization in the country. I also believe that Senator Breslin is an honorary member of AHEPA from his own local chapter. We're also joined by His Eminence, Archbishop Epilephoros of America, the spiritual leader of the Greek Orthodox Church in the United States. For the Greek-American community, the Church has often served as the focal institution that serves not just our spiritual needs, but our ethnic and community needs as well. For my colleagues who might not know this history, the Greek Orthodox Church in America has long played an active role in the advancement of civil, political, and human rights in our country. It was our own Archbishop Iakovos who joined Dr. King in Selma, attended the funeral of Reverend James Reeb, and marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in the fight for equality for Black Americans. And during the protests for racial justice after the murder of George Floyd, it was our own Archbishop Epilephoros who was out in the streets, just as many of us were, marching to support the movement for Black lives. So, Madam President, it is for all of these reasons, and with great pride, that I celebrate Greek Heritage Month in the state of New York and proudly vote aye. Zito. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gennardis. The question is on the resolutions. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The resolutions are adopted. Senator Gianaris.
Madam President, just to put a code on these rezos, while this discussion was going on, Senator Scarcella-Spanton texted me her DNA breakdown. Turns out she's 14% Greek, including 2% Cypriot. So when we say we have a three-member caucus, it's really 3.14, which of course is pi, which is a Greek letter. Great importance. Can we now move on to previously adopted resolution 1895 by Senator Helming? Read its title and recognize Senator Helming.